What if I told you that there are vegetables out there that laugh in the face of a freezing winter? Vegetables that can withstand blazing summer heat. Vegetables that can survive a drought. Vegetables that can even thrive in poor compacted soil, where most plants give up. And what if I told you that after all that, they come back bigger and stronger every single year, without you ever having to replant them? It sounds almost too good to be true, like some kind of gardening cheat code, but I promise you, it's not. These plants are real. They are incredibly resilient. They're waiting to transform your garden into a self-sustaining food factory. Annuals equal dependency. Perennials equal resilience. Deep roots equal drought resistance. Established plants often have better pest resistance. They improve soil structure and biology over time. They adapt across zones by going dormant when needed and rebounding stronger. Let's start with some of the toughest greens ever grown. From wild to cultivated, these 5 can anchor your cool season harvest. We'll begin with the most misunderstood superfood of them all. First up is a plant with a bit of a reputation, stinging nettle. It's a powerhouse that thrives in a huge range of climates, Zone 3 to Zone 9. The secret is an aggressive rhizome system that spreads underground and pops up year after year. It's packed with nutrition. Higher levels of iron, calcium, and magnesium than many cultivated leafy greens like spinach. Fresh leaves are covered in tiny hollow hairs called trichomes. They act like hypodermic needles and cause that familiar sting. Harvest when leaves are young and tender. The top 4 to 6 inches in early spring. Wear gloves and long sleeves. Once harvested, apply a little heat. The process is called blanching. Plunge the leaves into boiling water for about 30 to 60 seconds to deactivate the sting. After blanching, use them like spinach. You can also dry the leaves for tea or grind into a powder. Nettle is incredibly resilient, grows in poor soil, handles partial shade, and is drought tolerant once established. Give it a dedicated patch and you get a reliable, nutrient-dense harvest every spring with almost no effort. Our second plant is one you've probably never heard of, but you're going to want to grow it immediately. This is minutina, also known as buck's horn plantain. Incredibly cold hardy and remarkably salt tolerant. Long, slender, forked leaves resemble tiny deer antlers, with a satisfyingly crunchy, mild, slightly nutty flavor. Harvest outer leaves and leave the crown. It keeps producing for weeks or even months. Perfect raw in salads, also lightly wilt into stir-fries, soups, or pasta right at the end of cooking. Perennial arugula looks at a heat wave and shrugs. It sticks around for the long haul. Annual arugula has shallow roots. Perennial arugula dives deep with a powerful taproot, like an anchor. That taproot accesses deep moisture and nutrients, making it low maintenance. Peppery and nutty, baby leaves for salads, mature leaves for cooking, pesto and pizza right out of the oven. Yellow edible flowers are sweet spicy. Even in winter, the taproot waits, then springs back early. Imagine the bright, tangy flavor of a lemon, packed into a leafy green. That's sorrel. Extremely cold hardy, down to Zone 3, often pushing up leaves while snow still lingers. Great in soup, sauces for fish or chicken, and dressings. Preserved by chopping and freezing in water or olive oil cubes. This is Dobbinton's kale, a true perennial living 5, 6, even 10 years or more. It rarely seeds, propagate from side shoot cuttings. Root in moist soil or water. Easy. In Zone 7+, harvest 365 days a year. In colder zones, it extends shoulder seasons. Tender, sweet leaves for steaming, sautéing, soups or chips. Plant once, harvest for years. But these are just the surface crops. Some of the most resilient food plants grow from roots and crowns deep underground. Next, the rooted survivors. Chicory develops an incredibly long, powerful taproot that aerates compacted soil. It's like nature's tiller, pulling up nutrients for itself and neighbors. Leaves are edible. Younger for salads, older leaves cooked to mellow the bitterness. The root is a classic coffee substitute. Dried, roasted, ground, and brewed. Harvest roots in fall, scrub, chop, dry completely, roast to dark brown, then grind and brew. Perennial leeks grow in clumps. Harvest outer shoots, leave the rest to multiply. Mild, sweet onion flavor. Fantastic raw in garnishes, sauces, quiches, and stir fries. Divide crowded clumps every 2 to 3 years to keep plants vigorous and expand your patch. Ramps thrive in dappled shade and rich moist soil. True woodland dwellers. They're slow from seed and often over-harvested. Forage ethically. Take 1 leaf per plant. Best is to plant purchase bulbs or seed in a shady compost-rich bed and be patient. Powerful garlic onion flavor. Wilt leaves make pesto, pickle, or grill bulbs. Turkish rocket pops early and handles zone 3 cold. Harvest flower shoots before they open. Treat like broccolini. Taste is cabbage, mild nutty asparagus with a hint of mustardy heat. Deep taproot makes it drought tolerant, helps break clay, and it thrives in poor soil. Often self-seeds modestly, adding plants over time without becoming invasive. Next, edible ornamentals that double as power crops. Coming in at number 10, the daylily, Hemerocalis, incredibly tough. Drought, heat, neglect, thriving from zones 3 to 10. Unopened buds and open flowers are edible. Buds taste like green beans and asparagus, with subtle floral sweetness. Important, we mean Hemerocalis, not true lilies, lilium, which are toxic. Eat raw in salads, quick stir fry, steam, add to soups or tempura fry. Dense clumps suppress weeds. Divide every few years for dozens of free plants. Cardoon Cinara cardunculus is a showstopper with silvery, deeply cut leaves. Hardy in zones 7 to 10, tough once established. We grow it for petioles. Blanch a month before harvest by wrapping or mounding soil to tenderize and reduce bitterness. Peel, boil in salted, acidulated water, then gratin, fry, or braise. Artichoke heart-like, slightly nutty. Year 2, thistle-like purple flowers are stunning and bee-attracting. Sea beet, Beta vulgaris maritima, wild ancestor of beets and chard. It thrives in zones 4 to 8, tolerating salty air and saline soils. Harvest outer leaves and leave the crown, continuous yields in mild winters. Use like spinach or chard. Sauté with garlic and olive oil. Add to soups or use as smell. Voyeurs through trees use wraps. If this is the kind of garden knowledge you want, crops that feed you year after year without constant replanting, do me a favor. Hit the like button and subscribe. It tells YouTube to push this information to more gardeners who need resilient, practical food strategies. Now let's move from ornamentals to woodland and water powerhouses. The ostrich fern, Mateuccia struthiopteris, famous for its fiddleheads. Best in zones 3 to 7. Moist shade is ideal. Pick tightly coiled fronds at 2 to 6 inches. Leave at least half per crown. Confirm the U-shaped groove on smooth stems. Always cook thoroughly. Clean, blanch, ice shock, then sauté. Flavor like asparagus, green beans, artichoke. Watercress thrives where other vegetables drown. Shallow, clean, moving water. Use a shallow tray or kiddie pool with a small solar pump to keep water oxygenated and moving. Prefers partial shade and 50 to 60 degrees. Harvest by snipping tops. Cut and come again makes plants bushier. It's a nutrient powerhouse. More vitamin C than an orange and more iron than spinach. Eat raw, in soups, or add last to hot dishes. Siberian pea shrub, Caragana arborescens, hardy to zone 2, down to minus 50 Fahrenheit. It hosts nitrogen-fixing bacteria that enrich soil for itself and neighbors. Perfect for food forests and hedges. Produces edible peas, best cooked, plus edible yellow flowers for salads. And it's a great windbreak and living fence. Thrives on neglect. Prune after flowering to keep bushy and manageable. Plant a row on your windward edge to create a microclimate, improve soil fertility, and add a recurring food source for decades. Deep root systems. They access moisture and minerals far below annual root zones. Establish crowns. Energy reserves drive rapid regrowth after harvest or winter. Seasonal dormancy, they rest through extremes, then rebound when conditions improve. Soil building. Root, exudates, feed microbes. Decaying roots add organic matter. Adaptability. Genetics and growth habits allow performance from zone 3 to 10. That's why they survive drought, tolerate cold, regrow after harvest, and improve soil over time. Nettle, iron, calcium. Sorrel, vitamin C, chicory, root, prebiotic fiber. Watercress, high antioxidant levels. Siberian pea shrub, plant protein. Sea beet, mineral-dense greens. Dry nettle for tea. Freeze sorrel in water or oil cubes. Blanch fiddleheads before cooking. Roast chicory roots for brewing. Ferment perennial greens to extend shelf life and boost probiotics. Store cardoon stalks like celery, wrapped and chilled. Practical handling turns seasonal surges into year-round nutrition. So there you have it, 15 perennial vegetables that will fundamentally change the way you think about your garden. These aren't just plants, they are living history. Species that fed civilizations through harsh winters, drought, and instability. They don't just grow, they endure. You plant them once, and with a little care, they feed you for years, sometimes a lifetime. Imagine a garden that gets more productive every year with less work. Richer soil, healthier ecosystem, reliable harvests. That is the power of perennial agriculture. A shift from tilling, planting, pulling, to a more permanent, stable, abundant system. You're becoming the steward of a lasting food-producing ecosystem. Now that you know the key players, the next step is design. That's exactly what we're tackling in the next video. A small backyard food forest using these crops. You won't want to miss it. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into perennial vegetables. If you learned something new and are excited to build a resilient garden, hit like. It really helps the channel. Subscribe with notifications so you don't miss the backyard food forest design video. Until then, happy gardening, and I'll see you next time.